Great to see you folks. Flying Doctor here. Hope you're doing okay. Now you may well be thinking, where have I been for the last few weeks? Well, it's a mixture of real life. Unfortunately, real life's not like a simulation. You can't pause it. But also, I have to be honest, I've been like a teenage kid with a new lover. I've not even been able to two-time using the H145. I've actually been flying fixed-wing aircraft. I've been interested in the Phoenix A320. But I am now tempted. This is HPG's video here of the H160, which is now with me in preview. So I've got an opportunity to ask the question, is it enough to tempt me back? Welcome to the Flying Doctor channel. So what do I really know about this? Well, not much, to be honest. I am aware of that promo video, but also this second video. There's a video that HPG have produced on an automatic takeoff function, a rearward takeoff. You can sort of see it there being illustrated. So there's already resources going out there from HPG. And I am also really interested because I think the one thing that marks HPG out in their approach to products is their willingness and their desire to get the community on board to help build things continually. In fact, this is not called a review. This is a preview, and HPG have suggested that we use the title preview because, here's the thing, the aircraft is in constant development. But knowing HPG, what they actually even produce in the initial phases tends to be excellent. So, starting with the manual, well, this is the content creator preview. So this makes the assumption that those looking at the H160 are already familiar with the H145. And so this is really giving us basics to introduce to folks. There's nothing really unusual there, but I have noticed that the normal procedures, the checklists, look really helpful indeed. And we've got power up as usual, start as usual, engine 1, engine 2, after engine start, all that straightforward. Information for taxiing, so this is really basic for us, but it looks great. But one thing I do notice is the takeoff ground helipod category A, rearward takeoff and vertical takeoff. There's instructions about how to do that. We're obviously going to have a look at that. The other thing I noticed was that there seems to be more functionality. Obviously you've got 4 flight displays, co-pilot and pilot. That's actually quite useful, I found, in practice, because you could have 2 of these navigation displays, flight and navigation displays, with very similar things. So on one of them you could have the hover display, another one you can have the navigation display. But effectively they're very similar to the H145. 1 or 2 new icons that I'm seeing, pieces of text appearing, such as hover up the top here, height at the top there, and we'll obviously go and make sure we have a good look at that. I've never personally been really into understanding the ins and outs of the sensors. Perhaps that's one area for HPG to look at developing, is these sort of scenarios of failures, for example. Previously HPG's focus has been on mission, and I would say that I'm really so pleased and chuffed for HPG that after a period of looking to develop what seemed to be an excellent product involving firefighting, and that was pulled for different reasons associated, as far as I can see, with licensing, which was such a shame, and good to see them bouncing back here in producing the H160. But as I say, these kinds of details not really appealing to me, apart from they would appeal if they were kind of linked into some kind of scenario where you would experience failures and have to find your way out of them. Of course, missions was really popular with the H145. We'll see what happens here. The navigation display looked to be a little bit more refined. I do notice there's differences with the text. The text appears easier to read, but I can't tell until I get in the aircraft whether that's about what's happening in the aircraft or it's happening on the document here. So yes, maps seem to have additional functionality as well. I noticed just from looking at the digital map page entry here that you've got helipad POIs, hospital POIs, Microsoft Flight Simulator, points of interest, and airports and more. So I think more functionality entering into the sim here. Also we've got the miscellaneous page. We had this before where the auxiliary cameras would just give you one view. but it's got three options: low performance mode, high performance mode with pitch and roll, high performance having marginal impact. But it says currently this connects to a single camera source, the tail camera. I'm wondering if there's scope for more to be added there. Perhaps wait and see that. Don't forget that just like the H145, the H160 is compatible with the GTN 750, and you see that straight away. And if you're like me and your GTN 750 needed updated, you'll find out. Other things such as the autopilot, pretty similar here, and standard stuff. But yeah, I'm interested in jumping in and just seeing something of the quality of what we got first of all from the surfaces. We'll have a good look. So here we are, we're at Red Hill Airdrome here, which is in the south of England. I've deliberately placed the aircraft here because it is a standard Microsoft scenery that I'm using. It's also very light, so if we were to experience problems with the load on the system, stuttering or whatsoever, if you're seeing it here, you're going to have real big problems elsewhere. Although I must emphasise, in order to get this to work properly, I had to remove everything else from the background, because initially things were really stuttering. But yeah, you should really, I mean, I cut corners. You know, when you add something into your sim, make sure that you reduce down all other add-ons so that if you've got a problem, you can see it straight away to do the interaction with the add-on and the Microsoft Simulator base package. And yes, just have a look and check everything else that's sitting on in the background. So yeah, you can see some nice visuals there, and we will jump in and take a look. Yeah, so you can see here I jumped right in. It's a lovely look just around. All the surfaces look great. We'll look at those in a little bit of detail later, but I think it's important to notice on about 37, 38, 40 frames per second you can see there. I am operating in 4K, and I am using a 3080 Super and a 10850 processor. So that's no slouch, the processor, but it's not a new processor by any means. If you're interested in my settings, took a while for me to take a look at this, but in effect, there you are, there's the 4K. I am on DX11, not DX12. I'm at high end, and I am using DLSS Super Resolution Performance mode. Seems to be working quite well for me. At any rate, certainly sat down here at Red Hill, and also I did fly into London earlier. I've done about 4 hours on this, and did fly around London using the Orbix scenery, but not using photogrammetry, and it did perform very, very well indeed, rather than being sort of full of stuttering. So really quite impressed by that. So there we are. We'll resume ourselves and go back here. So just to have a quick look round, if you are not familiar with the tablet, just do go and have a look at some of the tutorials, or the autopilot for that sake, although I'm intending to produce autopilot tutorials, and we'll look at the vertical takeoff here, the takeoff functions we've got. There's a lot of the base stuff that you need to know, but if you go back and look at the H145 autopilot tutorials that I've been putting out, at least it will give you a point, you know, help you be pointed in the right direction. I'm not going to look in detail at what is available on the tablet here, but just to click on the top to call up the autopilot, which will surface. Obviously we'll use that later. So I've labelled some views that I really appreciated. So firstly, there's the overhead views here. By the way, if you're interested in the vertical or rearward takeoff, that's the button that you want to use, so we'll pop that on. Thing I noticed here is that yes, we've got functionality in all of these buttons, but also I'm thinking people who want to use this just want to load it in, ready to go. But yes, the functionality is all there. I am spotting, firstly, if you're in the dark and can't quite find them, you've got the one lamp here, and there's the second one just over there. So one here and one at the top there to find. I noticed you've got a mission selector. I'm not quite sure how that will work in the finished product. Don't forget, this is not a review, it's a preview, and so I'll be interested to see what this will offer. It really is looking at how I think the winch is being used with its hoist, a sling, you can see there, or whether it's a crate drop or something like that. It's a mission selector, so I'll be really interested to see how that works in. Of course, the H145 ended up developing some quite sophisticated missions that you can fly. So Apart from, I would sort of say that I really do like the simplicity here, but that's more to do with the H160 itself. I would say that elements of this, just looking from this kind of distance, it looks a bit arcadey, and the reason for that is that the textures aren't showing much wear and tear. Well, I think you're in a sort of developing aircraft, but if you look a bit closer, you've got some lovely kind of textures appearing. It could be the gamma setting on my display itself, but certainly if you begin to look elsewhere, you're just astounded by the amount of detail that you can see. Yes, so just moving down here, you can see I need to upgrade my PMS 50. You've got the two flight management system tablets just here, the surfaces look absolutely gorgeous in themselves. I mean, particularly here, you can see the detail here, and look, you can just see a little bit of wear here and here, and I'm loving the detail that is going on here. Real attention to detail. And just a note to say that in the advertising it said that there was a lot of cockpit functionality, but still not on the buttons here. All of this stuff is taken over by what is available on the tablet, which I do think, in fairness, if you're going to model one thing and not the other, the tablet would be it. But yes, there you go. So just looking a bit closer and across, you can see, if you're familiar with the H145, that the autopilot controls are further up the center console just there. You've got a park brake, you've got undercarriage. Hey, so that's something to forget, isn't it? Park brake and undercarriage, but it's there. Also you've got float wipers, terrain warning system here, and yes, just as we move round, some lovely images just to show you here. So that's just looking down, so cruise height set here, speed set here, altitude set here, heading here, and yes, so some development. But in terms of, I'm just looking at the surfaces at the moment, look absolutely gorgeous themselves. And so just sort of moving back, there is these nice little feature here, Airbus H160 Tour. Interesting, that is, I've just found that as a clickable area. I wonder what happens if I click that. Oh no, I've just managed to click the seat armrest, but this isn't sort of functional in itself, but some nice touches, lovely key, got a bit of detail there, fire extinguisher there, and just should mention that the cabin lights also a functional, emergency exit there, signs on, reading light can go on, ambient lighting can be dim or on, as you can see there, and then external lights, white, red and off here for anti-collision lights, and external position lights can be on, and your landing lights here can be on as well. So transceivers available here. I'm not sure about function, but I am seeing some function. I click on these, they are moving, not quite sure what they're doing, but yeah, there's definitely increased functionality in the buttons within the cockpit than there was before, and hey, I'm still getting used to this, as you can see. Oh, look at the detail down here as well. If I go in nice and close, yes, you can see that lovely little detail, bits of detail there. So kind of a new aircraft, but it wonderful textures, and not quite sure what these two panels are available for. Interesting to see what will come from those. Let's just go and have a look in the rear very briefly, but before we do that, one of the things that did impress me, just give me a good look there. What on earth are you doing? Stop jabbering on, Flying Doctor. But actually the quality of the avatars looks absolutely superb. You know, these are no longer looking like cardboard cutouts. This looks like, you know, it's you know, very well formed, a good amount of detail in there as well. And yes, so just going to the back, you can sort of look through the back. I think I'd arranged it. No, that's gone to the front. Well, we don't know what we're doing, but we can go to the back there. By the way, I should tell you that this guy, I've checked, is reading a tablet. It's not switched on, so I just think he's playing a bit of a game there. And as we just move to the back here, you can just see, yes, there's another dude there and another lady there. There is functionality. The doors do open. There we go. We'll open that door. Seem to work fine. I want to get it back. How do I get the door back? Oi, come back here. I think I'm going to have to go near the door to get it back. Yeah, I know. I don't know what I'm doing either, mate. There we go. It's there. Okay, so there is some functionality doors. You can see the exit lights that we just turned on there. There's not much functionality around the lights or anything much here, but this is interesting. if you just click on that button here, you can find your H160 manual for dummies there. Well, that's a nice touch, isn't it? Oh, and I didn't realise, oh, there's a bottle there as well. Let's just move to one side, have a look at the bottle. Oh, look, yeah, there's a bit of, looks like some bourbon there. It's not labelled, but there you go. Unfortunately, if you click on the dummies, or if you click on the bourbon, no, that's not going to work. But by and large, yes, really encouraged by the detail that we've got on the inside here. In terms of the external modelling, certainly haven't got any complaints here. Lovely detail. You can just see as we look at the underside of the aircraft, a few natural scratches on the perspex. Nice amount of detail available. Whoa, there we go. In the rear wheels just here, the front wheel and the landing gear, and just towards the back. Lovely amount. See how much we can get. Lovely amount of detail going in there. Looks fantastic. And again, the wear and tear. So evidence of considered sort of development here. Just moving back. No apologies here. I'm looking to get this out as quick as I can to you so folks can see. If I just jump up, let's just have a look. One of the things I noticed about the exterior modelling, I made a comment actually about the Microsoft Flight Simulator's promo video for 2024, and I sort of said that one of the helicopters there looked quite Lego-like, but you can see the difference here. Look at the individual rivets that you can actually see woven in. Also notice the reflections are there. Also notice if I just tap up here, dare I, a little bit, as we look at that kind of unlockable flap there, we've got some natural kind of natural dirt sort of on there. So yeah, quite impressed with this. You can see how close I can actually zoom in into the front. Really good visibility right into the cockpit itself. There we are, and nothing really to complain about. Looks beautiful, looks excellent, and on this particular livery as well. So we can see our passengers there, and let's just and to actually you can have a good look and see just how deep you can, how close you can get. I mean, just look at the texture on this. That is good. That is beginning to take the mick, and there we are. It's just about breaking up there. But look at these components here that you can see just sort of moving around. Air intake there. And the first question is, well, never mind reading the manual. I know the manual's there, we want to be reading it, but can I jump into this and fly it? You know, if I've got experience of the H145, am I able to jump in and climb it? Well, I've made no changes whatsoever to my control settings here. So this is jumping in from cold, and I'm just going to see if I can taxi this. And I'm going to do this without any use of the autopilot as well. I'm really interested to see what we'll be able to do. I'll come on to what we can do with the flight displays later, because what we'll actually do, hopefully, is take this for a little trip and just land it again. We'll take it on a bit of a taxi and land it, and then we'll look at this function that we have to manage rearward or straight vertical climbs up. So let's just have a look here and see where we're going, and I'll just increase. I'm just increasing my collective by pulling up. I'm increasing on the throttle, pushing forward, and you can already see, you can see some dust effects here in the distance, and there we are, we're up. Okay, so what are my thoughts? And the autopilot just gives me the options now. I'm naturally moving forward. I'm actually flying against the wind if I turn this way, and so obviously I am used to flying the H145, but in itself there's a slight turn. I'm having to very carefully manage the height, but I'm quite confident if I just nip the nose down very slightly and play that game of juggling that we've kind of covered before, I'll be able to just hover the aircraft. Let's try doing this down the runway and see what happens. So there we are, runway 18, and we're quite happily hovering. So this is a hover here. The thing is that speeds can catch up with you quite quick. This is a hover here just down the end of the runway, and to be honest, it's very flyable, very flyable. I mean, obviously I've got some experience flying the H145, but very flyable. I'm going to put it down because of course the question is, can you actually put it down where you want to put it down? and that's a bit of a challenge sometimes, but we'll try putting it down on the 36. Yeah, I'll just lift the nose. Oh no, we'll have to keep it safe. I'll have to increase the height to avoid the trees. Turn the aircraft. Usually you'd be trying to land into the wind anyway. And let's just try down this way. So I'm going to go for the 36 and just see where we're at. Okay. And I don't want to spend too long doing this because I want to demonstrate some other stuff that's going on. So there we are. Less than 20 mile an hour. I can see it there. 20 knots. Lift it there or thereabouts. There we are. We'll lift it here. Not even using the hover facility. I'm just going to put it down. I'm not going to be fussed about where it goes. Okay, not the best landing in the world, but do I think, yes, I've had a little bit of time with this, not a huge amount of time, but do I think I could manage to land this and jump in it and get fun from it straight away? The answer is yes, before I've even looked at any of the kind of autopilot functionality that we have. Let's just then move on. We're going to have a look at the vertical takeoff, which is much sort of celebrated thus far, and on the versatility that we've got with the 4 flight display screens that we have here. Okay, so let's look at this rearward and vertical takeoff, how that is now happening automatically. So the first thing is that I've moved across from the VMS that was originally on screen here. That's what it was originally, and on the second screen I've clicked on FND here, and now you've got 2 identical screens. Now in terms of preparing into hover, you have the option on the left hand side. It says SCT. If you click on that button, and then you'll see hover, weather radar, SVS. If you click on FOV again, you'll find that you get this hovering position layout with the H below and the little circle, and of course the aircraft will move ahead or behind the circle depending on the state of the hover as you're going up vertically. Easier to show than it is to say. So that's the first thing that you need to do. The second thing is if you click on the second thing you need to do is to set your perspective, altitude, speed and heading ready in the autopilot, because what you're going to do is you're going to come out of the takeoff mode and you're going to hit a key and then you are going to automatically switch into the autopilot. So if you just look down here with me, you can see the buttons to set, and I'll try and lay it out so it's as easy as possible for you. So right, Alt A is the altitude that we'll go to. Worth setting that, I would say around about 1,000 feet. You see if I'm tweaking the button here by hovering the mouse and scrolling up here, Alt A 650, just look, there it is up there. Just look, we'll increase that to 1,000 feet, shall we? There we are. And our speed is going to come in a little indicator at the top here. So there we are, can you see it's just said 40 there? Okay, and we are going to increase our speed and we're going to have that at 125 knots. Okay, there we are. And our course heading, you can see the heading button here. When we move this button here, you'll see it move around here. Now this means that when we actually do get into the autopilot, and I'm just moving the button, it doesn't really, I think I'm pushing forward on my scroll button and I'm moving to north. Okay, so that is in effect that direction that will be heading in once the autopilot modes have clicked in. So we've got those modes now working. Just another hint, if you're ever in this hover mode and you're not getting this T/O, which is takeoff, appear, so yeah, reminder, if you click on hover button it goes into hover mode. If you're not getting TO appearing, jump up to the top again and switch on and off here on NR high, because I found that if I reset that, it suddenly appeared down here. Then we're going to click on take off here, and we see that we get two options. If we click on the button again, we get rearward or vertical highlighted. So I'm highlighting rearward here. Okay, and then we are almost ready to go, apart from one thing. When you click on TO, you'll find that there's a small box here, TDP, it reads on the side, and that is the height at which we are going to give ourselves options to abort the takeoff. So that's saying 105 feet at the moment, and we change that in much the same way by going down to the bottom here, and you see if I scroll on it, there we are, you can see it increasing. So that's something that wouldn't necessarily easily pick up on. I'm going to put that up to 300 feet. Okay, right. Now I must confess that the HPG do an excellent tutorial on this, but I'm still working it out for myself, working it through. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase the collective till we're just off the ground, and then we're going to see this array of autopilot options come on, and we're going to click the hover mode. It's GTCH, and we're going to hold things right there. So there we go, GTCH, there we go, and we hold things in hover mode there. Okay, so we're going to have a look outside and just see where we are and what we're doing. Holding quite nicely. Now the next thing that we do is that we press GA, this button here. If I zoom right in, GA, which actually stands for go around, but once we press that button, the aircraft will begin to ascend and ascend backwards until the procedure is finished. And the reason for using this as a tool is sometimes you can land in such a way that you can see the way in, but you're thinking, how am I going to get out of here? I need to guard against going forward. So yes, we click on GA. So yeah, let's press the go around button. And off we go. Now if we look to the outside, we can see that indeed we are taking off slowly and to the rear. It's harder to see because of where you can see from the markings below that we are actually going backwards and up. Okay, it's harder to see because of how the camera follows. I've managed to set the camera to follow the helicopter, but we are in fact, as you can see, flying backwards. So we keep that going. Just watching the altitude, 300 feet. Which is still increasing. Are we still increasing altitude here? Oh, we are. There we go. Yeah, it's down here. So it's a steady but slow takeoff process. And basically, when we're finished with it, if we click go around again, you'll find that we should return to the parameters that we've slotted in already for where we want to be headed: altitude, speed, everything else. But this is the first time I've done this, so we'll have a look at that. So click on go around again. There we are. You can just see things clicking in. Altitude is increasing. Heading's on track already. Speed is increasing to 125 knots, and away we go. And of course, by now we can be removing, because we're increasing our speed quite a lot. It's about 55 or something. I'm not sure, but we'll take up the gear. There we are. And off we go. So yes, so we're now flying into London, and I'll join with you shortly, because what I'm interested in is I want to show you how well this flies in a built-up area. Just by way of illustration, I'm just lowering the altitude now. You can see the marker here. By the way, if you're looking to lower the the brightness of the screen. You've got this button here on the left. I realise that not everyone has a former user of the H145. But a little button there will enable you to lower the brightness or luminescence. So coming down here, you can see I'm just lowering here. You can map all this to joystick, as many joystick buttons as you want. It starts appearing up here. I'm not looking to give a detailed tutorial on the autopilot, but we'll just hang on to that and we'll lower down. We'll get down to about, I think, 500 feet. So we'll have a look here. Don't forget this is on high settings. Oh, there we are. We shouldn't be flying in this, of course. And this is excellent. I can tell you this, for this scenery, this is brilliant. So, you know, going back to my original question, you know, is this enough to pull me away and pull me back into helicopters? I think actually it is. I think it is. But where I've enjoyed the functionality of, say, flying an aircraft like the Phoenix, which is another study level aircraft, is this ability to practice procedures and get those right, and also to deal with failures in the air. And I think this is one area that HBG might want to work on. How can we model failures and the ability to deal with that? Much of the focus thus far has been on missions, which is good, and I'm sure that will grow. But yeah, this is absolutely superb. This is behaving, and obviously I realise that this is a, you know, working out what your flight simulator is doing, what your base is doing, and how your sceneries and your actual aircraft is interfering with that is really difficult, because you can't just blame one or the other. But this is perhaps the smoothest flight that I've had through London ever, and yeah, really impressive. So yes, this is I would be flying this. I think there's a question about it would involve, would I enter into negotiation with my wife as to whether I was going to buy this? The answer is yes. I think I would, and the reason is that whilst all of this extra functionality that the H160 brings is very good, and especially the takeoff facility that I've just had to sort of learn and repeat, whilst it's really good, and whilst there's the concept of flying missions, the one thing that a helicopter will let you do is explore your sceneries. And you can see that I'm doing this with great joy. And so yes, is it worth the sort of the amount that HBG are asking for it? I think it is. I think it is. I think it's a big ask. It's a big ask, particularly in difficult times. But I'm seeing my scenery here with a smoothness that in this aircraft that I'm not seeing before, and that would be enough to persuade me, even though there are questions, as I say, about, well, is it about the other aircraft you've got? Is it about the base of the simulator? Is it about your potentially your internet connection? Whatever. We all know it's a bit of a nightmare to work out what is going on. But also, I'm flying this with some ease. This is nothing else. I'm not having to do anything else. I'm not really having to concentrate on the flying at all. I'm obviously checking my altitude, and I realise this is quite a steep turn, but I'm not really having to do anything else. I think the landings are going to be quite amusing. I think they definitely will be amusing. This will be interesting. Let's just see if we can increase some height here. No problems there. So yeah, this is allowing me to see my sceneries in a way that I've not seen before. Now, because I'm totally loopy, I am going to try and land this thing. And I'm going to try and land it without any assistance. I don't know how that's going to go, but we'll give it a go. 25 frames per second still. And there we go, I've got a decision height there as well. So we're going to fly over Canary Wharf. And we're going to see about landing it, and landing it with no autopilot whatsoever. I have to say, this is a joy. You can see the airport just there in the distance, but we'll weave our way through some buildings here. Has this sort of floating on air sort of feel about it. And I was feeling like I was having to wrestle a lot more with the H145 than this. This is lovely and gentle. So I'm just a little bit nervous now. I'll try and talk you through it. I'm just lowering the collective, or pulling back on the throttle now. You can see if you look in the flight display, there was a little glitch there, but that's because we're on the edge of the airport. The scenery is almost sort of over. So there we are. I'm looking just to slow myself here. You can see the airspeed indicator, which is to the left there. You've got tablet to the right, navigation map to the left in the middle, and then you're looking to the left of the middle screen if you're a newbie to this. Okay, we are going to ambitiously see if we can actually land this thing. Just lifting the nose slightly, because that is a way of ensuring that we get to a kind of hover height where we're not really got forward momentum. I'm having to concentrate. It's good. It's a challenge. It'll stop me worrying about work and everything else. I'll put some rudder in at the moment to make sure I'm facing the wind. I realise you wouldn't come in this way usually, but I'm more interested in registering myself. Where is it that I want to put the aircraft? For reference, it's the bay that's right below us. Oh, wind's changed its direction. Okay, now I'm just more or less looking to come down. Or we'll go backwards now. You're still watching, congratulations. I need to adjust the calibration curves for the throttle on this, I think, because it's a very slight differences are making a huge difference as far as I can see on the ground. There we go. Oh, landing gear. That would have been good, wouldn't it? Oh, hang on. Run out of hands. Hang on. Did say remember the landing gear, didn't I? We've got 3 greens yet. Yeah. There we go, down we are. There we are. So folks, conclusions. Very impressed, and as I said earlier, so yeah, and very flyable as well. I think that the extras are great. Would I get this? I'll be into a debate with my wife about whether I could spend money on this, put it that way. And but yes, I'd take it to that point. So excellent, and also performing really, really well with the Orbix aircraft scenery. So excellent product. Just, I'd almost get this because it happens on my system to work that well with scenery. Before we look at everything else, I hope that's helpful, folks. Take care, stay safe. Thoroughly recommended. Congratulations to HPG.